So, huge announcement. I've been working with Ninza and I got them to give me a coupon code that will give everyone that's watching this 60% off any of their indicators. I'm not sure exactly how long this sale will last, but I think for the next month or so, you can get 60% off all of my favorite indicators that I'm using in these videos. There's a link in the description. Just go to Ninza's site, go to their best sellers. You'll see all the ones that I'm doing reviews for. This is a review video I did for them, so I'm just gonna post it here on my channel too. But if you've been thinking about trying out any of these indicators, great time. I got the 60% off. Crazy deal. I want to show you some more ways that I use the volume delta indicator. This is one of my all-time favorite indicators. Right now I've got the plot displayed. It will also display a ribbon. You can change the threshold for the strong and moderate deltas to the upside and the downside. And you will definitely want to change these numbers depending on what time frame and what instrument you are trading. They'll all be different. So to get the best numbers, you pull up an instance of the volume delta, you make sure your plot is enabled so it shows this histogram, and then you go back and you look at previous days and you kind of get a gauge of where the maximum highs and lows are and where you would want to be alerted when there's strong or moderate delta. This is the NASDAQ 1-minute chart. I've got settings of 400 and 250 for the strong and moderate. This is a chart from today's price action, Tuesday, December 5th. This is just the afternoon. See, we have a strong delta coming in, nice move down. We start getting some moderate delta coming in, nice push back up. Some more negative delta dots, we have a move down. Positive delta dot, start moving up. It gives you a really good gauge of the buyers and sellers in the market. I like having the histogram up. You can see when we're moving up in price right here, the volume delta is moving down. The positive delta on this histogram is getting lower and lower. A little bit of divergence there. We can see the positive volume delta kind of drying up. Then we have a little retracement. So sometimes I'll add several instances of the volume delta. On the second instance, I want a ribbon displayed. Instead of the plot, I uncheck the plot and I've checked the ribbon. So now I've got this ribbon on the bottom that's giving me the actual numbers. And another way I like to use this, I like to add a couple of other data series of correlated markets. So for a NQ chart, I'll add a MNQ and an ES data series. I've got tick replay enabled. So once I have my two extra data series loaded, I'm going to add a couple of more instances of the volume delta. So for these two copies of the volume delta, I want to change the input series. I want to change one to the MNQ, and I want to change the other input to the ES. So now I've got a ribbon that will be displayed for the NQ, the MNQ, and the ES. You could also add in the YM or the RTY or the MES. And remember, you want to change the threshold to something appropriate for each instrument and time frame. These numbers will be completely different on a 5-minute chart versus a 1-minute chart, for example. I also want to point out that you can filter by volume size, and you can use this feature to sort out some bigger volume orders, perhaps coming from large financial institutions. For right now, I've got the volume filter not enabled. So now I've got my NQ chart, I've got an NQ histogram, and then I've got the delta information for the NQ, the MNQ, and the ES. So I can see when there's correlation between all three markets very easily. For example, these two candlesticks right here towards the close, tons of positive delta coming in all across the board. We had a nice move up. Here we had some moderate delta on the NQ, and some strong bearish delta on the ES. Another great correlation. Scrolling back to earlier in the day, you can see we had a lot of correlation to the downside on this candle. Nice move down. Here on this retracement back up, you can see everything's pretty much green, hardly any bearish delta coming in during this move. So those are some of my favorite ways to use the volume delta indicator. And with all the different customizable options, I'm sure you could come up with something even better.